Good morning. How's the sun? You staying warm over there?
It's nice, yeah.
I bet it does. I bet it does. How lovely to get together again. Another Sunday morning. Chance to practice formally together. To have some familiar faces. Don't have any new people today. It's nice to have Nate back. You're stuck now. You're hooked in. It's lovely to get together. I look forward to gathering on Sundays. And every time it's the same. We come in together, we yak a little bit, we take our seats, ring the bell, we sit, walk, sit, do our readings. It's always the same. And that's important. We want to create a predictability of it, and so that there isn't any great, once you've come a few times, that you're not uncomfortable, because it looks and feels the same. So somebody asked last week, why do we all wear black? That's one reason too, that you know what to expect. But then there are always little surprises amidst that sameness. Like, I've got this red thing here under my bell. And I know that Shunya was displeased with the lace on the white one. So I don't know where it went, but thank you for taking care of this.
By next week it'll be ready.
I just now, I didn't see it because it was next to Kate, and I looked down and it was a little disorienting. I am a creature. Then I look over here, and I've got this angel is sitting here instead of that angel, and I think, well, this is great. How'd you get there? Oh no. Have you learned nothing? I do appreciate you stepping forward and serving the community that way. One of our three refuges is I take refuge in the Sangha. We talk about that from time to time. Shunya gave a talk recently about Sangha. This is Sangha, the formal organization, the formal community of gathering from time to time in formal practice. And whether you come once a year or whether you come twice a week, you're all a part of this. We are all part of the same Sangha. A community of practitioners, a community of people who are trying to learn about themselves, trying to do the hard work of actualizing and growing, waking up. Whether you come once or a year or once a month, doesn't matter. And you've heard us say before also that the whole world is a Sangha. Rocks and trees, birds and water. Everything is Sangha. Everything is Sangha. Because everything is interconnected. Everything is it responds to everything else. The little comment I tend to make on Sunday mornings about many merit that arises from this practice help to lessen the suffering in the world. That's ridiculous from one point of view. But from another point of view, it's not. Because everything is connected, if I gain insight, if I mature and wake up just a little bit, it changes everything on the planet. I truly believe that. I don't believe it. I know it to be true. So that's a reflection on the inevitability of the more that people wake up, individually and in small groups like this, the better off the human race will be, the better off the planet will be. And I know that to be true. Does that make sense? Nod your head. That's a lousy nod. She's taking advantage of my poor vision. I bring that up to get to the point of we have what are called training elements in the Hollow Bones tradition, of which you are now a part because you're here. And one of the training elements is called sacred stewardship. It's a modification, a modernization of the traditional training elements. You have it there? Can you read that for us?
Sure. Sacred stewardship. What is sacred stewardship? What does this stewardship include? How am I as an individual fulfilling my commitment to stewardship, and am I acting with integrity in this chosen responsibility? How do the patterns of my consumption affect the earth and environment I live within? On what do I spend my energy and money? How does stewardship relate to community? Does a good steward have an organic standard? Do I take a stand? If so, where?
Thank you. Personally, I find that to be the most challenging training element in the teachings, in the Sutra. Personally, I find that challenging. At some levels, it's very easy. I'm not terribly wasteful. I'm a pretty good recycler. I try to buy organic. And I am a carnivore, which is enormously wasteful and destructive to the planet. I accept that I'm doing damage every time I eat a piece of meat. And I don't ride my bike as much as I could. But I turn the lights off when I leave a room. And on and on and on and on. Sacred stewardship invites us to look at our patterns of consumption, as was just read, and are we making this place better? Is this place going to be better when we leave than when we got here? And I can do nothing to control anything but myself. Shunya is an avowed vegetarian, and she's an avowed organic vegetarian whenever she can be, and I always admired that about her, because she's making a little bit more of a difference in the planet because she is that. And I don't reach that standard. Giant SUVs that burn 12 gallons, 12 miles per gallon, they don't make an organic standard. They don't make a stewardship standard. There's all sorts of ways, and I think here in the West, here in America, we are particularly vulnerable because we're such crazy consumers. Just eating everything we can, chewing up the environment. And then does it matter? May any merit that arises from this practice help to lessen the suffering in the world. Buying bottled water hurts the planet. You get that? Buy a bottle, reuse it. Don't buy bottled water. Hurts the planet. Right? Agreed? Don't agree? Look at the pictures of the garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean. It's all plastic, almost all plastic. And it's as big as Texas. And it's completely unnecessary. And do you care? No, that's over in the Pacific. I don't care. It's in the Pacific right now. When they can't surf anymore in California or catch salmon in Oregon, you'll care. Everything matters. Everything touches everything else. How do I spend my money? Where do I spend my money? And this can become controversial. There's people that push back on this, because if I don't go to Perkins because it's a corporate restaurant, I'm hurting the owners of restaurant because it's owned locally and the employees there might lose their jobs. But I do very little I consume very little through the corporate world. As little as I possibly can. That's why we go to the Attic and not to Perkins. Because it's a local business. To be conscious of that. It isn't to say anything is bad, it's just to say that some things have a greater impact than other things. And as I judge that as we mature in our practice, as we mature in our understanding of Dharma, in a sense it almost becomes impossible to stick a fork full of steak in your mouth. Because it's just too inconsistent with the values. It's too destructive of the planet. Because everything is connected. There's some enormous dairy out in Kewaunee County is fighting with the state so they can put in a 5 million gallon manure pit. That's ridiculous. I don't care what they do, it will fuck up the water. It'll get into the water table. But you gotta have cheap milk. It's fascinating. I hope you pay attention to those kinds of things. It's happening all around us. But I digress. Whatever merit may arise from this practice, help to change the world. And it does, because it changes me. And I become more aware, I become more conscious, and that changes my world. One more time. Does that make sense? George has got his head bouncing, that's good. That make sense? Thank you. Any commentary? Rejections, projections?
I have something as well.
Yes.
It's a tad off topic.
A little louder, please.
It's a tad off topic, but if you want that,
Sure.
as I sat here last week, I think I had a genuine insight, kind of to what you were speaking to first, with the aspect of Sangha. I sat here and realized that not only can I consider every person within the Sangha, a friend, I've been granted a sliver of a view into everyone's life, and that is a gift.
Mm.
And I sat with that for the week because, the topic last week was, more on 101. And I considered what that was because a wise man once asked me, what was missing in my life. And I've been sitting with that. And then another group I'm a part of, another wise man said something and told a story that what was missing in his life was the ability to give and feel as others do. And that really resonated with me. And it resonated back to the insight I had as I sat here last Sunday, and then connected back to the beginning of this talk. I think it's a product of the repetition and the consistency of coming here every Sunday and sitting and seeing the same people that it's offered me, and I'm sure others as well, a safe place to explore those things, those thoughts, those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really powerful and profound to me is not only that fact, but then, that the book asks us to go deeper. That's one layer of the onion, but what's beneath that, and what's
Mm-hmm.
beneath that, and what's beneath that. Even today, like last week, and then even again today, I was almost brought to tears by the beauty of that. So I felt it would be a disservice not to share that, experience with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. That's lovely. Thank you. Anything else, or should we quit while we're ahead? And thank you for taking the risk of leading us today. One clapper when you end this.
Oh, I know. Come on. Couldn't you just say adequate? Oh, I know.
Yep, well, it was adequate, but
Oh. I had to sit for 20 minutes. Was that all right?
you knew it when you did it, didn't
Yeah,
you?
something took over me. I was like one clap, and you see, it was a delay. It's like I clapped, and then I
Just
clapped
saying.
again. It was like something
I'm
like,
just saying.
oh, oh,
Beat yourself up if you're welcome.
oh.
She'll sweat that for 2 days.
Yeah, that was fun. I did that in practice. I kept messing up. I was like, one clap, one clap, one clap. I slowed down. I was like, and then it just, something on the back of my mind just took over my hand and got that second clap. And I was like,
Okay, maybe.
Well, you've got another 60 years
Okay, maybe
practice.
you might be right. I almost went turquoise, but I went navy.
What?
The other one will be navy when it comes. And we did get some.
Is the white one
It's for the bits. So